friends, family, lovers alike. Here we go deep into the forest to shine brightly in this moment in time, to share some insights. As we have seen, 2020 is a time of clarity in which we are able to see what is happening, where we are in this world, where we are as individuals. And so it is a time of looking beyond and through the illusions that have existed for a long, long time, and having the opportunity to let go of these things that are no longer serving us, the systems on our planet, and the ways in which we ourselves have been living as individuals. So Corona meaning the great crown in which we are able to put on and to wear and to own as divine beings here, now, as gods, as goddesses, as great creators in which we are. And our ability to not only become empowered as creators, as co-creators, but also to see through the illusions and to discern between what is serving us and what is not, what is truth and what is false or illusions or trickery that we have been manipulated and controlled by for far, far, far too long, distracted and really suppressed in so many ways. But we are awakening now, of course, more than ever, to this great truth. So here and now, as things have come to the surface naturally, it's like for me, the systems that have been in place and in control are recognizing that we have reached this year of awakening, and at the same time, out of their need for control, out of fear, are reaching like a dying sort of corpse, just in their last breath, trying to reach for everything it can grasp to pull it down with them. You know, they are desperate to maintain this control and are trying to really close this deal upon us, to really hold that grasp onto our bodies, onto our souls. And so it's at this breaking point of humanity, of life on earth, that's just giving us the opportunity to experience so much pain and suffering at a deep subconscious level that we are carrying from our lineage, from our past, from our collective field, from our past lives. It's all intersecting here and now, interweaving, and given this opportunity to really step into our truth, to be supported, to take our power back, and to be supported to come together in this truth as sovereign beings, unified in our collective field, in which we're able to take new steps forward to co-create a new way of life on earth. But here and now, as we are still in this response to what's happening, the collective field, of course, is generally speaking in reaction to what is happening. So our natural reaction, which is very animalistic out of fear, is to have something happen to us and then we respond, often not thinking so much in response. We more or less react automatically. So it's typically a fight or flight response. And so we see a big part of the collective in flights mode, hiding out of fear, running away, putting on the mask, and allowing ourselves to be controlled. And then we have the other part of the population who's in fight mode, standing up against what is happening, as it's against our human rights as sovereign beings. So we have these two sides occurring, and we have hopefully the ability to be in our centers and to recognize both sides and yet remain true to what is here and now and forever. What are we calling to do? What steps are we being called to take in our life to move further and further into our alignments with our planets, with ourselves, and with one another? So as we're continuing this pattern, we're going to see maybe things could get a bit more difficult for the collective. Things could become more difficult because we are still in that fight or flight mode. And so what we may end up doing is creating more pain, more suffering, and choose to go further and further into that direction of being suppressed, of being controlled, of being manipulated. And for some of us, we're able to observe it from the outside and observe our own patterns, our own behaviors as we're going through this difficult time right now. We're going to have things coming up in relation to others. And a lot of people maybe in our life might be operating unconsciously. And so they're going to really act out these things and not be so aware of it. We're going to be impacted by these things by people who aren't able to process these things, aren't able to communicate these things, aren't able to even be aware of what they're doing and why they're doing it. So we are having to develop ultra sensitive awareness right now, and to come back deeper into ourselves and to recognize, what are our needs as individuals and as a collective, and begin to really build from the ground up, knowing which direction we need to be going in, want to be going in more and more, and to meet our needs and to build that foundation, which is so critical for us to recognize, not only for ourselves but as a collective, that we are coming together with others who are like-minded, who are ready, who are in trust and in the awareness of what's happening in the world. So we can take such big steps. And for me, it's about recognizing the power that we have and no longer being disempowered or waiting around for our governments, which may or may not be taking action towards greater truth, towards greater alignments, or taking action against the things that we're recognizing have been taking place for a long time and we can no longer stand for. So we are essentially those of us that have gained these skills to transcend, to shift the inner and outer worlds, are having to become leaders into this new way, because in a sense we have the skills, that we have the inner skills and abilities, and hopefully we have the outer skills to communicate and be in healthy relationships with one another. Hopefully we've gained the ability more and more to be in a healthy relationship with Mother Earth and live in honor with her, and therefore wanting to realign our lives in accordance to those values that we carry as beings, as creators who are a part of creation, a part of this circle of life. So my concern right now is that for many who are still unconscious or haven't developed these skills will continue down this path of pain, of destruction, of great suffering. We're seeing financially, we're seeing emotionally, mentally, and spiritually how so many people are lost, confused, in reaction, in anger, and may go further in this direction. And so that we as beings of light, in acknowledging our truth and our power of our hearts, the love that we are, that we may be able to create bridges for others to be able to regain trust in humanity, to regain hope in their hearts, and to restore the recognition that there is purpose to us being here now and forever. So I pray that we may come into this knowing more and more and continue to help guide one another through this time of darkness as we are awakening to the truth in which we are as family with love.